What's up, everybody? It's me, Levi Spangler. I'm back here with another video. This time, we're not in the woods. Well, I mean, I guess we're kind of in the woods. We're not on an adventure or a hike today. I'm sitting on my back porch, and it's the end of the year, okay? We're going to go through 5 of my favorite hikes that I did this year. I did a lot of stuff this year. I've seen a lot of things. I went a lot of places, and I have a list of 5 places that stood out over everywhere else that I went. And I'm gonna go through those 5 places today and kind of talk to you about them. Maybe if you're in my area of North Carolina and the mountains and stuff, then you can go do these hikes too. I highly recommend them. They are my favorite hikes that I have done so far. And yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into number 1. So these aren't in any particular order, ranked from like best to worst. These are just what I did throughout the year. So number 1 is Moores Knob in Hanging Rock State Park. This one is, I believe, one of the most underrated ones on my list. A lot of people don't hike this trail because it's not inside of the actual Appalachian mountain range. It's outside of the Appalachian mountain range, and it's inside of the Soratown mountain range, which is like a super small mountain range completely separate from the Appalachian mountains, and it's more in the Piedmont region near Winston-Salem. Yeah, I mean, absolutely beautiful hike. It's one of my favorite hikes ever. It's 4.3 miles long, and it's a loop trail, so it's not that long, and it's just got under 1,000 feet of elevation gain, 954 feet of elevation gain, so not too bad for how long the trail is. Some parts were pretty steep and strenuous, but most of it, for me at least, was pretty laid back and a really nice scenic trail, and it goes all the way up to the top of Moores Knob, which is a abandoned fire tower. Well, it used to be a fire tower, and they made it into like a little lookout tower that you can go on top of, and you get 360-degree views, some of the best views I've ever seen. You can see almost the whole state. You can see the Appalachian Mountains, you can see the Uwharrie Mountains, you can see Winston-Salem, of course, and sometimes you can even see Charlotte from there, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's crazy. It's some of the best views I've seen around here, and especially because it's not inside of the Appalachian Mountains. It's closer to the Piedmont, so you don't have to drive all the way there to the big mountains in western North Carolina if you want to get some good hiking in. Number 2 is Stone Mountain State Park. Another super underrated trail and state park, period. A super unique mountain. There's not really any other mountains like this in my state. The closest thing I can think of is Looking Glass, but even then it's nothing like Stone Mountain. It's crazy. It's like the Yosemite of North Carolina. It's just a big granite rock in the woods, and it's super cool, and you get to hike all the way up it. And once you're like on the actual mountain, it kind of just, the trail goes away and there's not any dirt left. You're literally just hiking on a big rock slab, which I think is super cool. It's 4.5 miles long with 938 feet of elevation gain, so it's similar to Moores Knob in mileage and elevation, but I honestly thought that Stone Mountain was easier than Moores Knob. And it's really cool because the state park has like a little old village right before you start hiking up Stone Mountain itself. It's like an old colonial village. It's really cool to check out if you're there. Number 3 is Waterrock / Browning Knob. This one is out closer to the Smoky Mountains, which I'm sure all of you know, the Smoky Mountains. It's right beside Maggie Valley, which is a pretty quaint little town. And this hike was super unique because at the end of the trail, there's a plane crash that you can go to and hike to, which was super cool. I've never seen anything like it, and the hike there is just amazing. You're going through like a conifer forest, and there's a bunch of moss and crazy cool looking trees and roots, and it's really cool, really unique landscape. It is 1.7 miles long and 692 feet of elevation gain. Sounds pretty steep, but honestly, that trail wasn't that strenuous to me. I mean, it was pretty like crazy and sketchy just because there was a lot of roots that you could step on, and it was really dark inside of that conifer forest. Sometimes you couldn't see where you were stepping, and you stepped on like a root that was blended in with the loamy pine needles and stuff. So I mean, that was pretty dangerous, but it wasn't that strenuous of a trail. I mean, for 1.7 miles, what you get out of it was amazing. You got awesome views from Waterrock Knob and Browning Knob, and obviously the plane crash at the end of the trail. So I highly recommend this one if you're in the Maggie Valley area or the Great Smoky Mountains. Yeah, super cool spot. One of my favorite ones of this year, super unique. Number 4 is Shortoff Mountain in Linville Gorge. I love Linville Gorge. It is like one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and I keep going back there, but this is definitely one that stood out to me this year was Shortoff Mountain. I hiked to the top with my brother Caden, and we went backpacking and camped actually on the top with this amazing view of Linville Gorge. I mean, it was like the most picturesque camping spot you could ever dream of camping in. I mean, I can't believe that we did that. That was just like an amazing trip. But I mean, Shortoff Mountain is such a cool, unique mountain, and it's got some of the best views of Linville Gorge. It's 5.5 miles to the top of Shortoff Mountain with 1,200 feet of elevation gain. So I remember that this hike sucked. It was actually pretty strenuous. Obviously, we had a lot of gear on, so that probably didn't help, but I mean, it just felt like it never ended. The climb was just never ending, and it was super hot and it was raining. But I mean, I'm sure that if you don't have a bunch of gear on and you just have a day pack on, then it's not that bad. But I just remember that hike up there was not fun, but it was worth it because at the top is super amazing, super beautiful views, and there's even a swamp on top of Shortoff Mountain. I don't know how that's possible, but there's a swamp on top of the mountain. Then the last place that I went this year that stood out to me was Grandfather Mountain. This is my favorite trail I've ever hiked, ever. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It's one of the most unique trails I've ever been to. It's, in my opinion, the best hike and the best trail in North Carolina that you can do. Amazing views. It's strenuous if you like a challenge, and it's a little sketchy if you're afraid of heights, which I'm not afraid of heights, but if you're afraid of heights, it might be a little sketchy. I went here twice this year because I just wanted to go back because it was so amazing. The first time that I went with my whole family, and we went up there and we attempted to go all the way to the peak of Grandfather Mountain, which is called Callaway Peak, and that hike is 4.1 miles with 1,341 feet of elevation gain, which is a lot of elevation, I guess. But we actually didn't make it to Callaway Peak because it started thunderstorming, so we only got to McRae Peak, which was absolutely amazing. One of the best views I've ever seen. Getting to McRae Peak was 1.8 miles long with 728 feet of elevation gain. So it's kind of like cut in half. The cool thing about Grandfather Mountain is it has these unique features of ladders and cables, and you have to climb ladders on top of sketchy cliffs and kind of do some low-class rock climbing sometimes. It's a really fun trail, really unique, and you literally can't find anything like that down here other than Grandfather Mountain. The second time that we went to Grandfather Mountain, me and Caden went back there, I planned on going to Callaway Peak because I've never been to the top. I've only been to McRae Peak, but we didn't even make it that time because the park was closing, so we had to turn around and go back. But I do plan on going back there and doing the whole trail. There's multiple ways that you can do the trail. You can do it from the swinging bridge in the parking lot area in the state park, and you have to pay to park there at the bridge, and you can hike up. I think it's shorter than the other ways. The other ways is like Daniel Boone Scout Trail, which is pretty long, and then the Profile Trail, which is pretty steep, and that starts from the bottom of Grandfather Mountain all the way to the top, which I haven't done those either. I might do the Daniel Boone Scout Trail next and try to do all of it and maybe camp out there. But yeah, super amazing mountain. My favorite place I've been to in North Carolina by far. And yeah, that's it. that's my 5 places that I went to this year that really stood out, and I'm definitely going to go back to these places just because they're so amazing. I highly recommend that you check these places out if you're in North Carolina. Some of the best hikes I've been on. And by the way, I know that it's the end of the year and this video might be coming out right before Christmas, I think. This probably won't be my last video of the year. I think I'm going on another hike. I won't tell you where, but you'll see in the next video. And it might be snowing, I don't know, which would be kind of cool. And it's gonna be really cold, I know that. So look out for that video that's coming next. And I think that after that will be it for this year, and then we'll start 2023, which I'm super excited about, guys. I mean, like, I have some crazy plans for next year. All right, I have some fun stuff planned for next year. So look out for next year. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, comment, do all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next adventure. Peace out and live cosmic.